I don't know where the camera is because my phone, like, there's a green dot where the camera is, but then I look like I'm fucking Matthew Murdoch looking out into a distance because I don't know where the fuck I'm looking. So please excuse that. But I wanted to talk about the Dark Night of the Soul this episode, and it's been on my mind a little bit lately. I think we can still smoke and toke on YouTube. Entering the ripe old age of 1984, we can't say shit, can't think shit, can't do anything without being completely fucking dissected. And there's fear tactics coming into place with that. And for me, they parallel with that epiphany that one gets with the Dark Night of the Soul, which a lot of people will have that sort of correlation with Abrahamic structures, you know, deprogramming from God and from the fear tactics that the system and these psychological systems set in place to us spiritual beings having a human avatar experience in order to collect data. The point of the matter is like none of this fucking really matters. It's subjective, most of it is. I mean, there's black and white stuff, but also a lot of things are very subjective. I had seen a post on another content creator who is well respected in the occult community. And someone was going on about how left-hand path practitioners are fucking silly and goofy. And he made sort of a condescending response to saying that's putting it mildly. I'm not going to call anybody out. I took offense to it. And I had to question myself, why am I feeling this reflex when I feel solid with myself? How is it that somebody's opinion based on their own experiences with probably a bunch of edgelords is affecting me? And you realize that's your ego, and that little chip is like something to let go of. And it's not because we want to let go of our ego. Ego's not bad. We got to feed that bitch a healthy diet. That's it. And give her some junk food once in a while and then move the fuck along. Because that sort of seed that's planted starts planting doubt in oneself, and then we project that onto other people and want them to feel the same way because it makes us feel intelligent. It makes us feel, you know, like we're right. And the Dark Night of the Soul will shatter you to your core and make you question everything. And I really suggest grounding, okay? A lot of people are like, oh, don't be preaching to me about exercise, you fat bitch, you're still fat. Go and do something in nature. Go for a fucking walk, meditate. Just eat something that's grounding, like oats or barley or rice, something, you know, carby. Carbo load, okay? Have your carbs and go outside and get some fucking fresh air and sunshine and ground. Have that energetic output so you can parallel with being able to handle that epiphany, because it's hard when you really start deprogramming and you start coming into your own power. And when we do that, sometimes we'll think, is it me? Am I special? Am I a chosen one? And we're not. Like we might all have alliances with different spiritual entities, different gods, different pantheons. We might have multiple ones because we've had multiple lifetimes. You know, none of it really matters. I've had people tell me, like, oh, what makes you think you're so fucking blessed by the demons? I don't know. I put in the work, and I am subjected to getting a boot right in my spiritual ass all of the time. And some of us are just built different, had different experiences, and are different. That's it. That doesn't make anything better or worse. Like honestly, my point of this is when you hit that Dark Night of the Soul, you realize most of the energetic output that's going out into this fucking failing planet is nonsense. It's not necessary. What's necessary is us being able to confront our own experiences, our own psychology, our own reactions to things, and deep dive into our own spiritual practice. Whether or not your alliance is with, you know, the Goetic demons or fallen angels or other infernals in the underworld from different pantheons or not, Christ consciousness is a real thing. You know, we learn all about that shit from a structured standpoint. And it manifests into this fucking real estate business, which is religion, that has overtaken humanity. And I think that people should exercise the right to believe in whatever the hell they want to, because I'm not saying that I'm right. What I'm suggesting is when your beliefs start to oppose on the collective and start to really oppress the collective, that's a fucking issue. That's something that you need to deep dive into yourself. Why do you want everybody to agree with what you believe in just because you have the same amount of conviction in your beliefs as I do with mine? Is that because we are our own God? Is that because, as the fallen angels have taught me, we have the same capacity of expansion? We have the same opportunities to expand as they did. We're not playing catch up. We came a lot later. There's different technologies. And I know that sounds silly and super duper to a lot of people in fucking Marvel movie before Disney bought it out and turned it into shit. But I honestly believe that we are coded. We are just here to collect data, to collect experiences, and to understand ourselves. We are an avatar. That's it. We put so much pressure on ourselves. And we feel bad for not being a certain way, for not looking a certain way, for not believing in the same things that, maybe one's parents do. Somebody's father is disappointed. What I've learned in terms of the dark night of the soul is you go through almost like another purgatory of oneself, and you are alone, and you are already isolated. A lot of us are isolated right now. The collective, like, all of us are going through some shit post-COVID. Like, I've seen it. I see what's going on. I see that people are not only not knowing their neighbors anymore, but they're beefing with them more than ever. And we're isolated in oneself, and that happens to us spiritually at times. I've gone through what I like to call spiritual purgatory. I had about 5 years where I wasn't practicing witchcraft. I had all of my stuff in boxes, like, in a storage shed or outside. I was in hustle culture. I was going to school and working and all that stuff, and just chasing the dangling carrot, thinking, oh, not me, I'm gonna fucking do it because I'm gonna run faster than all these motherfuckers. And you become spiritual in purgatory in that sense, where you become so grounded that you lose yourself. You lose yourself to the world and to worldly things, whether they're good or bad or evil, or good for us or bad for us. And when it comes to the dark night of the soul, I felt the same way, only spiritually and physically, for a while, where you are just uncertain and you are told to just trust the process and be still for a while. And stillness is hard when you're unhealed or when you're on the journey of healing, which many of us are, which is one thing why I was like kind of bummed out about that comment that I saw. And I don't even react like this to my own comments. People call me all kinds of names, and I see it for what it is, because I've fucking said stupid shit to people in comment section. Who the hell am I? But I felt like it's a disservice and a discredit to a lot of people that I've come across who have taught me so much while I'm on my own journey, because I've heard horror stories from people, from other practitioners who are spectating what I'm doing, whether you're far ahead of the curve of me and you're just enjoying the process and what matters. And it was kind of like a lesson that I learned, like a mini lesson before making this video today. It doesn't matter if somebody who's respected in a community says something that's in disagreement or ignorance to what you're doing. That makes your journey all of the richer, and it holds more sanctity, in my opinion, for that. And that's something that King Belial has ruthlessly taught me my entire life. And especially in the past few years, I have just been pulled out of my comfort zone physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially, to the point where, like, I really just didn't want to fucking live. Like, the only thing that kept me going was having children who I can't traumatize. Like, that's literally it at one point. And you seek something. People seek God in those dark moments. They seek the devil. They seek some help because we're alone in it. There's so many times where I'm in my office right here and I've got my whole world crushing apart. I'm not going to even get into it. I've talked about it enough. And I feel alone in that. I feel alone, and I'll still have their presence around, and I'll still feel alone, because you get to this point with the dark night of the soul. You're like, is this real? Is this just aspects of my subconscious, which is the greater plausibility, and none of these entities are fucking real? Am I causing these synchronicities in my environment, the bumps in the night that sound like confirmation? Or is it just birds chirping in confirmation to something that I'm saying when I'm on a walk with Prince Stolas in my garden? There's a lot of things that happen, and you have to kind of come to a realization, like, hey, am I really alone on this journey? And is it okay to not be special and be special simultaneously? And when you're able to do that, in my opinion, you can just completely build yourself up from nothing. That it's the ground zero of after decomposing. You're stuck, you're like a pile of fucking rubble, right? When you get into your spiritual practice of any sort, You either don't know what the fuck you want, or life is hard, or you're trying to find revenge, or you're trying to find your voice, whatever it is, it gets really hard. And you're just a pile of fucking rocks. And what they do is they just take that and refine it more into sand, to cement and to help you build back up, to build that foundation. You can build whatever you want with rock dust. You can build a fucking paradise. And you'll be grounded the entire time too. But then when you see that grounding energy, it's something supernatural about it. A rock is just a rock, and we kind of like bypass it because they're boring. In spirituality, grounding really seems like the boring thing that people don't want to really do. Then when we see past the earth and see the energy of it, we're able to coexist with this plane, with the physical plane, our physical self, and our spiritual self. And in my experience, a lot of things parallel. My personal life, my physical wellness, my emotional well-being, everything that's, the metaverse that I am contributing to here, all of these other factors that we forget are supernatural. You start to become more self-aware of after you come out of the dark night of the soul. You are completely decoded of your past self, your past structures. I honor my past self. She needed me. She needed somebody to pull her the fuck up and get her head out of her ass. And you don't have to feel guilty or shame, I think some people should feel shame for certain things. If you're doing really bad shit to people, that's my moral compass. You can disagree. If you're hurting kids and hurting people in very sinister ways, sorry, this doesn't apply to those people. That's my opinion. You can have a different opinion if you want. It doesn't fucking affect me. But what does affect me is myself and my own experiences, what I allow, and how serious I take myself too. Because I'll say one thing, when it comes to spirituality and coexisting with social media these days, boy, is it tempting to fucking just get on your high horse and just be emotionally, verbally abusive at times. When you're feeling reactive, when you feel injustice happening, when you see people trying to utilize the deities that you love and coexist with for fucking terrible, baneful shit. And then you have to step back out of yourself. And you have to realize, what is this? Are we all right? Are we all wrong? Does it matter? There's a lot of people that utilize the fallen angels for stupid shit. And it's none of my business. I ask King Belial a lot of questions, and not about people. Like, if you're making videos, I'm like, what was this bitch doing? I ask in general, what does it mean if a lot of people are utilizing your energy for something that I might think is fucking terrible? They have a different perspective on those things because they're not humans. They've had all of these experiences. They've done the worst of things that they can because they've had the worst things happen to them, and they built themselves up. They've gone through their own dark night of the soul. And the scary part of that is we can't become disconnected from the earth because of that. I think a lot of people struggle making content about spiritual insight and knowledge and experiences because there's a lot of temptation for, a lot of people. I'm not going to say I'm not subjective to it. I just can't fucking stand people who feel like they're better than other people and their voice. And for some reason, and please excuse me if there's people that you look up to or whatever, but I feel fucking sick to my stomach of the thought of becoming that. To where I can't even fucking take it serious. I look past it and then I question myself. What does that say about me? Who am I? And you go through this sort of psychological and spiritual gymnastics for a while. And it's really important to stay grounded during this, okay? Because you don't want to lose yourself. You don't want to go crazy. You can go crazy when you start deep diving into the occult, which literally means hidden knowledge. It's literally the coding for what the fuck we are. Everything has a numerical factor. Everything from your blood type to your blood color to the density to your height to your weight to fucking everything. The pH balance in the soil that your trees are growing in. Everything has a numerical factor and a numerical plausibility. And when you understand that, you let go of needing to control the narrative. And when I've come out, because I know I'm backtracking and all ADD head today, but I've asked my spiritual counselors these, these questions, like, why am I feeling like I'm fucking questioning everything right now? And it's, you're coming out of that cocoon. You've been psychological haze your whole life, because we live in this system that just feeds off of our energy, and it feeds off of our vices. It makes us vulnerable to those vices, and then we don't want to blame ourselves. Who do people blame when they drink too much, they smoke too much, they cheat on their partner, they do all these things? They blame the devil. They don't blame themselves, and that's where the curse comes. That's where it is, because he'll get that energy and transmutate it to expand. And it's not one devil, it's a collection of entities that were the adversary to what we know as the Abrahamic structures, those gods, those once upon a time demi war gods. And that's still going on, isn't it? But when you are in the middle of that spiritual and physical sort of purgatory, and you feel naked and you feel cold and you feel vulnerable and confused, we need help and guidance, like, as human beings. Like, our world is going to survive. And I really believe that humanity will as well. But our systems are really fucking broken. And a lot of it has to do with religious propaganda, political propaganda, which stems down to social propaganda. And all of those are psychological cages, little matrix arenas that keep us restricted. And we will blame everything. We blame those systems, and we have the right to, but we also have to take accountability into making decisions that are going to help us expand. And when you go through the dark night of the soul, it's almost like you don't have a choice but to do that. Even though, like, your life isn't going to be chaotic and all these horrible tower moments and fucking scare tactics that I hear within, like, demonolatry, those communities as well. This is more about being naked in the dark. And imagine that. Imagine being in, like, a sensory deprivation room and a sound deprivation room too. And all you can hear is your own fucking heartbeat. And all you can hear is the blood flowing. And you go crazy, right? You go fucking crazy. You have to be okay with that discomfort for a bit. And it shouldn't be, like, operated out of ego, like, I can fucking hang. Like, I'm, like, the grandmaster of doing that stupid shit. And I've been told every time in my life, nope, you can't. And then I'm like, yes, I can. And then you kind of learn hard and fast, like, maybe there's truth to both of these things. Maybe your motives for the reason why you're wanting to do these things are creating blockages for you. And maybe you need to reevaluate yourself and break down completely and figure out what the fuck you are, and then build up with those building blocks, those rock particles, who you want to be. Because you can. And what you do with that experience is really up to you. And that there's a freedom that comes with that. There's a spiritual freedom. There's a psychological freedom. It's kind of like an I don't give a fuck attitude, but it's not an I don't give a fuck. You know, like, that's... Listen, my entire life, I thought I didn't give a fuck. I was like, fuck you, I don't give a fuck. I gave a fuck. I just, like, regurgitated the energy and tried to throw it back, you know, in a rude way. And there's power to that, but it also exhausts us. Like, everything operates off of an energetic mathematical system. You know, what we put out matters, and we don't have to be so strategic, like tiptoe on eggshells around everything we do because I gotta be neutral and I gotta be peaceful. Fuck that shit. You just gotta know what you are and who you are and why, and not always need to question everything too. Don't take yourself so serious, because I've had to learn with the dark night of the soul, I was taking myself so seriously in my life in areas that did not matter, and I wasn't taking myself serious enough in areas that absolutely should have. And you kind of, like, play swap-a-doodles, you know, you switch places with those mentalities, and you find this equilibrium that feels neutral, that feels plausible, that feels capable. No matter what limitations that you have, they don't define you. Your name doesn't define you. Your fucking gender doesn't define you. Those are all, like, criteria, you know what I mean, that define your avatar. But you can change a lot of that shit, you know? Like, you really could. You can change so much about you. And the things that you can't change, you learn how to honor and to respect, and to stop trying to compare to other elements in the system that you might envy or you're told you need to be, because there's no winning. You don't get to win. No matter how beautiful you are, no matter how rich, no matter how talented, no matter what gender you are, or what race you are, or what height, you'll never fucking win. The collective is so miserable, and I hate using that term, the collective. Human beings, okay? We're fucking stupid, but we all are sort of connected. We're avatars, like, we're just talking and teaching each other and entertaining each other and making each other think like, wow, that was a really creative explanation for that feeling that has no physical manifestation. You know, that was a really creative way to compose that song that takes these emotions out of my heart and makes me feel something. It's a charm spell. It's magic. It's what magic is. We just glamorize it, and capitalism has hyper focused on the mysticism, which is magic. And now we're more intrigued by that than the reality of it, you know? So it's full circle in those ways too. We're just chasing a fucking glittery carrot now. This carrot's like translucent and glittery. I want to chase that carrot, and you'll never be able to catch it because it's made up. And everything that we have around us is made up because of our own imaginations. And when you see that as the human experience, when you see in your room that every single thing in your room, whether it was well intended, which you'll be able to tell, a handcrafted piece of furniture is going to have a lot of energy into it. It's going to have a special feeling. It's going to feel special and be special than something from IKEA, which is just alchemy. But it is what it is. You know, everything came from the imagination, or was stemmed off of ideas and inspiration from a collective of imaginations. You know, a song was inspired by this country singer and this experience. And I know it sounds like weed thoughts and stuff, but coming out of the dark night of the soul, I've learned that. And I've learned that I'm just here in the present. And I can take time to focus on the future and the goals that I have, and then reel it back and be in the present and do things in my environment that can lead up to that, and then becoming that person. If you're learning how to like play the violin, you got to start watching videos and do what violinists do. And you're going to start learning how to hold a violin, and you're going to learn the strings of it, and your fingers are going to get tired. I play guitar, so I understand that sort of whole process. It's an entire process. And then you go to strum, and then you learn about guitars, and you learn about how to maintain it, you know, and then you start judging other guitarists and feeling inspired by others, and then creating music, and it's all hertz frequencies, and it's a spell within the auditorial part of our avatar. And I know it sounds a bit hippy dippy, but that's all we are. That's it. We can do what we want, and we have other human beings that are trying to oppress that. Like right now, this kind of sucks for me. I don't live in fear over other people's opinions, but I think it's shitty that we have like this witch hunt thing going on now. If you guys have noticed, it's a whole new satanic panic, whole new let's blame the devil for why our kids are all corrupt, not ourselves for not fucking raising our kids, not the system or the people we vote for that makes it difficult for, you know, us not to have the states raising our kids because we got to work, and if there's a fucking crisis in your life like death or illness, you're fucked. But we still want to depend on other people's, you know, hopes and empathy to make our lives easier. And we should be able to for paying taxes, you know what I mean? But that's not the reality. And those realities are going to start falling apart. Those false realities, are going to start falling apart. And when that stuff happens, it feels like the dark night of the soul. When you realize the political parties that you trusted were complete fucking pedophilic fucking creeps, when you realize that your favorite celebrities were doing the same thing, or trafficking children, or your favorite brands, or your favorite fucking this, but then you go and turn around and go, well, it's all right, I'm going to do it anyways, and then you check yourself. And then you can go crazy in that sense too, because now I got to stay away from everything that's hurting and contributing to slave labor. I got to stay away from everything, and as a result, I'm ethical, bitch, and you can't tell me shit. And it's just full circle. This system is just does nothing but make us chase our own tail and blame everybody else while we're doing that. And as our system is completely collapsing right now, going through the dark night of the soul, it paralleled for me, because I felt like as I'm collapsing, I'm breaking down and trying to study all of this rubble, the system's breaking down, and I'm getting a head start on trying to study all of this rubble. Not because we got to fix it, not because it's ever going to be ran the way that we want it to be ran, but because we have to figure out how to manufacture our own lives and coexist with all this fucking nonsense. It's exhausting. But I have to say this sort of stuff because people disagree with me, and that's fine, but people try to find nothing but sanctity and safety and pleasure in their spiritual practices. They, whether it's Christianity, whether it's, the Hollywood pop culture sort of edgelord Satan worship, people that just see it as a linear thing, like, oh, God's a big dork and the devil's cool and I'm gonna go fuck bitches and do coke. And, I'm not saying to do or to not do that sort of stuff. Don't do cocaine, guys. Come on. But in all seriousness, we're self-serving to our core. And that's what King Belial's taught me. And he's a wonderful infernal to communicate with this stuff because he's the king of earth. He knows grounding better than anybody in the whole spectrum of being grounded, and how it can destroy you and decay you if you just stay too grounded, and how there's spiritual signatures and energies within grounding. Because we, like I said before, a lot of witches, we tend to, like, when we're starting out, fuck grounding, that's boring, teach me all the cool shit. I want to control my own narrative. And I'm not saying that's bad. I have my own moral compass when it comes to magic, and I think that we should take control of our own lives. I absolutely use witchcraft in my almost everyday practice to do that. And I know when to not force it, when to not just try another spell. You have to have this cohesive energetic output and input with your spell work and what you're doing, and know what the fuck you're doing. And most importantly, don't overthink it either. Just be as is, because that's what we are in our spiritual form. I've had very significant astral experiences this past year that I've documented some just in my journals, and I've forgotten about a lot of them. It gets... It can sometimes make the world seem very boring and depressing. And that can be very scary if you're not exercising elements of discipline in your life. And grounding helps with that, because you learn how finite we are. You learn how there are so many different experiences and dimensions, and the coding that we take with us, you can start utilizing in the astral. I can sit and think very hard what popcorn smells like in the astral, and that coding will come to life. Like you can, the human mind is very powerful. I saw a quote not too long ago that said the human mind is so powerful that we've convinced ourselves that we're not, and the more that we learn how powerful we are, the less power that this false fucking structure, the societal structures have on us, because we're no longer playing their games. We're no longer chasing that carrot. We're no longer climbing the corporate ladder. I think that you should do whatever makes you feel fulfilled, because I think there's room for all that. I'm not saying we all got to vibe, man, in nature naked and smoke pot. Like, I think that we need to do things and coexist with technology, coexist with the advancements of AI, the good and the bad with that, because there's the laws of duality. We have to coexist with the boring and the mundane and just life. We should be able to do that and take what you can, but not be so engulfed into it that it consumes you. Because what happened to everybody you knew that died? They died because of the system, because it's fucking soul crushing. They couldn't play the game. They didn't even know that we're playing a game. They were just told to work until they die, and they did. Like, we're not going to have this fucking eating fruit all day utopia Because who the fuck is going to clean your toilet? You know, like some people get on their high horse about that. Like, you're not entitled to feeling you're better than other human beings and you're just going to vibe and they're going to clean up your mess. Like, look what happens when that happens to people. They lose fortitude. They become fucking useless. Like, a lot of, like, superstar celebrities are like that. They're so used to people doing shit for them and being told yes all the time that they become fucking dumb and useless in a lot of other areas. Yet what do? We glamorize and go, wow, they must be smart, they make money. When a lot of them are just related to people who have been holding on to money for a long fucking time. And money itself, that's a whole other discussion. But I don't have all the answers. I don't think that I'm right about anything. I think that my experiences are just mine and I'm just trying to articulate them the best that I can. And that's not to bypass any accountability because, oh no, you got people listening to you, bitch. You're going to have to fucking, you know, choose what you say because then people are going to take your advice. Like, that's not that. I don't think that we need to glamorize shit so fucking much in hopes to it being better. We have to just decide that it is. We don't have to put all our hope and energy into other people, into other, like, oh, this will work out, it's going to work out. Because then when it doesn't, we just take all that energy, it bounces back to us, and we crash and become crushed with it. We don't know how to handle it. And this is all that is. It's a game of learning how to manipulate energy, learning how to coexist with each other, having these human experiences and giving space for them. And I'm not trying to victim blame. This includes the bad shit. It's an unfortunate reality. We shouldn't have to live in a society where, like, people are abused and hurt and betrayed and any of these things that we've either done to people or have had done to ourselves. But that is our reality because we're severely underdeveloped. And I think we're just in the middle of expansion. I think that we are starting to evolve, and people who are denying that are devolving. With evolvement, though, comes a whole new world of problems. Comes a whole new world of battles in the arena. You know, like with AI. There's a lot of great advancements with AI, but boy, that shit's fucking scary too, especially when you have government entities making drones that are more quiet and more deadly than ever. You know, not when we have fucking big companies collecting a ton of data on us and using that against us. If you get in trouble in certain places, a cop can go and get your fucking information from Google and find one thing that you said or did, one argument you had with your spouse, some guy said he would kill for a cheeseburger and they try to fucking prosecute him over that. See, he's fucking murdering tendencies. That's what we're living in right now. And people think, oh, you fucking conspiracy theorist? Then what is your plan? Why aren't those people thinking? Why are those people so in denial? They're like, no, everything's fine. I'm still going to have my fucking $400 Frappuccinos. I'm still going to feel validated when I buy my $1,000 handbag. And this is coming from that person, okay? This is coming from somebody who was that person. This is not coming from somebody who says you can't have nice things either. I'm not against nice things. I love nice things. It's about the energetic fucking facade that those things that the system and capitalism has convinced us are our worth, represent our worth to ourselves, when it's not. Does that make sense? Because people are so fucking amped up to start refuting things that I say without even listening until I finish my fucking point and thinking about how that point could be subjective or how somebody else perceives something. You might disagree. We're not there anymore. We're not there anymore. We don't want to hear shit from other people unless we agree with it. Unless it makes us feel hopeful and comfortably hopeful about our own futures. Fuck doing the hard work. Fuck all that shit. How do I get it now? Get it now and see what happens. See what the fuck happens when you get it now and you're not prepared for it. The Dark Night of the Soul, it teaches you that none of this shit is that important. What's important is just you building your own life and you challenging yourself in areas that your brilliant mind fantasizes about being that's attainable. You know what I mean? Like, wow, I really want to ride a bicycle and race in a fucking, triathlon or whatever. You can do that. And you, oh, but I can't because this and that. You can still do things, though, that'll give you the same fulfillment. You're just not going to get the fucking blue ribbon that you're wanting because your ego wants the blue ribbon, and your mind, your spirit wants the experience of just doing that triathlon. Even if you got one leg, bitch, fucking do it. There's people who do. And if you no, then hopefully that doesn't eat you alive. Hopefully that doesn't chase you down and haunt you and hunt you fucking down, because that is the curse. When you start figuring out that you can control your own life, you just can't control the narrative of other people. You can't control every circumstance. You can't control the government. You can't control all these other things. You can control how you handle things, and you can see this as an experience every fucking day and be in the present. And when there's things that you don't like that you're doing, if there's no opportunity to fix them, what can you do for yourself to feel in control? And why do you need to be in control? Like, if I can't control everything else going on, what is it that I can change? Because that's what the spirit is hungry for. Expansion. It's and that does include, knowing what it's like to own beautiful diamonds and what it's like to own all these beautiful things. I am not that person to be anti-beautiful things. I am anti having beautiful things at the expense of other human beings being, enslaved and being bullied and being brainwashed into thinking that's their best interest is to harvest fucking cobalt so I can get the new phone, even though I don't need it. It's not in my best interest to get fucking blood diamonds because, oh, how powerful I feel that other humans are fetching my rocks. Like, that kind of shit will get you nothing. You pay a price for that. You pay a fucking price. All of these oligarchs that are running our system, and you might be mad at them, right? These motherfuckers got trillions of dollars. Fuck billions. These motherfuckers they make the numbers up. Okay, the Federal Reserve, it's not a federal agency. That's the name of a private fucking bank that owns most of these countries, including Ukraine now. Thanks, BlackRock. Nobody wants to see that because, nope, the fucking Democratic Party said we're pro-Ukraine, so we got to. Why don't you think for yourself? Instead of being in alliance with somebody that tells you things that you want to hear so your life can just be comfortable. And be an individual in your own life, and you become your own version of what that God energy is, not by taking from other people. You can try, go the fuck right ahead. Come on down. People threaten all the time. I'm not saying to be a pacifist, okay? People threaten, oh, I'm gonna fucking dox you, bitch. Come on down. I'll be like Bob Barker, bitch. Come on down. See what happens. See what prize you fucking get today, fucker. See what mood I'm in. Hopefully I'm not PMDDing because you're gonna leave without a fucking head, allegedly. So I don't know what to tell you. But what I can fucking say is when you become neutral in your life and in the present and just content, you're able to handle those bad feelings more when they arise. You're able to navigate anger more. You're able to navigate heartbreak and betrayal and all these terrible things. And there's no easy pass, guys. There's no alpha, bro. You gotta fucking do it, bro. You gotta fucking alpha, bro, all the way. Just fucking charge it. No, you gotta make space for these fucking experiences and go, this is fucked. Okay, time to regroup and take this energy and to transmutate it into my personal power so I can keep on this journey until my time is up. That's what it is about. The dark night of the soul taught me that to my core, I am everything and nothing simultaneously. And I have the opportunity to decide how I challenge and face my life and my experiences. That I don't have to think about my past anymore. My past it was the pavement for what I am today. And I got to decide through this journey how to heal with all of that and be okay with that crack in my heart that's going to continue to fuel me on this fucked up journey. And I'm scared because I got to do this sort of shit. Because if I don't do this sort of stuff, what else do I have? I have a beautiful family, but I have to make purpose for my family. I have to make purpose because the system is soul crushing. But should I chase that carrot? I got to chase the numbers and the views? No, I got to chase being better a better version of myself and my imagination. What can I do for my podcast to make it just more magical? I've got a lot of ideas and I'm like, I don't have the resources, so what do I do for that? You have to keep on building. You have to keep on little by little getting better and better, little by little investing a little to make your life magical. I thought, for my podcast, I thought, gosh, I want to put more elements and creative things, and I feel like happy doing the thumbnails because I just feel creative, and it gives me an opportunity to dress up more because like we do date night and go out, but it's not how it used to be. So the country that I'm living in right now is like on the brink of fucking depression. Like, I know everybody's going through it, but we're getting fucking robbed here, like where I'm at. It's pretty disgusting. I'm sick to my stomach with how the government here in Australia is treating its people. Because, like, for instance, 50% of dual income families are negative $150 by the end of the work week, working full time. And no one's buying extras right now, besides the billionaires and the millionaires who are telling us to stop spending and who keep inflating the prices so dramatically that most people can't afford, like, meat and dairy anymore. Like, there's significant drawbacks to being able to survive, and somehow we're able to start thriving in it with one income. And that's for people asking, why don't you work? I am not allowed to work in this country because my visa will not allow it. So I have to do things like this, and it's a very slow process when you have a lot of kids and special needs child and your family needs you, and everybody's working hard. And you have to just take it day by day and be okay with the journey. Kitchen Occultist is a great example of that, because when I first started that platform, I just got out of psychosis, of postpartum psychosis, and I had a new baby, and my almost 2-year-old was diagnosed with autism, and I had a lot to deal with on top of that, and I just posted when I could, even though I was working and stressed and really busy, and I still am, but I've adapted to that now. When I started homesteading in the old place, it was a townhouse, and I was scrimping and scraping resources and, banana peels for compost, and I was saving all the lemon peels to make lemon syrups and candied lemons so we can have something, because everything was just it got so expensive so quick post lockdown. Like, it was disgusting. Like, fucking groceries have doubled. The experts that in government say, oh, it's only gone up like 10%. People have done the fucking math. It's doubled. Like, and it was already really expensive here. And I can't let that just be an excuse to not do the things I want to do, because I have a really big vision for both of these platforms, but I can't be held on to that, right? I got to be okay with this right now. It's not how it is yet, so I shouldn't do it, right? The system teaches us, oh, it's not, I don't have all the resources, so I can't. Stay the fuck away from that mentality. I am sorry, this is my opinion, but I can't be around people who just say I can't all the time. And that doesn't mean you need to be delusional. Like, bitch, if you got no legs, you can get fake ones to walk, but they ain't gonna grow back. That's what I mean. You can still fucking run. There's runners who have no legs and they get prosthetic ones. Oh, I can't because of the price. I can't because of the price. Neither could that bitch, but she did it. She fucking got it. She manifested that. You get people in your environment, you manifest that. I'm telling you, those resources will come. Those people will come into your environment, and you will expand. And then when you're there, like I'm here right now on a 1/4 acre, and it's a lot of work, and there's a lot of logistics, and there's a lot of landlord issues, and a lot of, increase in rent happening, and shit breaking down, and all these other things, right? But I know that I'm going to make the most of it here and expand more. And it's not because I want more. It's just I would like to have a bit more privacy and more freedom to do the things that I would like to do. And I want to have my environment parallel with my own expansion, because it will. Your environment will expand. I manifested a place where I have my own office that's disconnected from my house. I have like very few neighbors, very quiet area, and I've got a ton of space to garden in, which is I was so wanting. I could not stand not having a big backyard like forever, and this is the biggest yard I've ever had, and the biggest front yard I've ever had, and for my kids too. My kids had a really good life. I'm not trying to suggest that. My two older ones had super a lot, and I've lived in houses and mostly apartments my whole life. But I'm not feeling sorry for that. I feel very blessed, and I've always felt pretty blessed. But I ask, the deities at times, I'm like, well, how come I couldn't have this fucking sooner, and it had to be this hard process, and I had to, like, go through a legal battle in order to even I didn't even find a place. This place found us, like, by the skin of our teeth. And Belial has told me, because you weren't able to handle it yet. Because you weren't even able to handle the fucking townhouse. You weren't able to handle that garden. You were messing up, and you weren't able to teach your kids properly, without fucking getting annoyed all the time. You couldn't handle it. And when you mastered that, when it became very easy, and you became aligned with what you're doing, and you started really bonding with your kids, and they started really liking gardening, and you started to see more resources, the fucking universe allowed. It happened on its own. I didn't have to force it, because I am the type of person... I'm an air sign too. I like to force things to fucking happen in my life, because I do not like being told no for dumb reasons. I do not like being told, no, you can't, because of some fucking circle jerking government fucking bullshit, for some fucking dumb people and their bullshit, some, work politics bullshit. I'm like, no, fuck that. I'm still going to be what I want to be. This system is going to make it impossible though. And you have to be able to be okay with falling apart, and to getting rid of your old environment, your old habits at times. And I'm not saying you got to be perfect and no drinking and no sex and we're not doing purity culture here. I don't believe in that. I believe that those things are subjective. Those things are up to individuals to navigate and to be real with. I abstain from certain things because I have seen so many people unable to be able to do that because the system crushed them completely. And I have an element of empathy, even though I'm fucking mad, even in the afterlife. I'm like, you fucking assholes, all of you. I lost a lot of people in a short period of time, and death, I had to deal with a lot of those deaths too. I had to deal with the arrangements of it and fucking everything while people were falling apart over and over again since I was young. And I got to this point in my own life that me doing the output for everybody, I'm strong enough, I can handle it. I'll pick up the phone at 2 a.m. I'm a ride or die friend. I had to realize and hit my rock bottom that I had nothing but output and no motherfucking input. And when I got sick of that, I just gave myself so much input that I exploded. And I was a big fucking pile of rocks. And I was like, well, this is fucked. So I do everything right, and I try to do everything right, and it still fucking blows up in my face. And then Belial, because he does this a lot. I do this too now. It's weird. I don't touch my face as a cook either. He goes, yep, that's exactly what I needed you to do. And I go, well, that's fucking kind of shitty. Why is it that I have to, like, suffer in order to heal? And he's like, can you repeat that again, please? Why do you need to suffer in order to heal? And I'm like, yeah, why can't I just be healed? Why can't I just fucking not have to deal with that? And he's like, and who would you have been if you didn't go through any of those experiences? And I've been a hell of a lot fucking happier. He goes, no, you wouldn't have been. And that's not to glamorize people's, issues that they have, or to fucking neglect any accountability from other people that had contributions to those things. Fuck those people. And he'll tell me, he goes, life is complex. In order to get to a beautiful finish of like a meal that I'm cooking, you have to kill an animal, you have to uproot vegetables from the ground, you have to chop them all up into a bunch of pieces, and they're not going to be tasty on their own in that form. You have to season them with the earth, you have to have a combination of that coating, right? And then you have to be patient, and you have to fucking let it just burn. You got to set it on fire and boil it. And then it comes together and it forms a beautiful dish because of all the energetic input and output that went along with it. And as a result, you're able to eat, and you're able to be nourished, and you're able to be vital and fueled, and also grounded because you understand that experience. And the dark night of the soul has taught me that when we become completely fallen apart and deprogrammed from for some people it's religious issues. For me, it's not. For some people, it's their vices. For some people, it's abuse and the trauma bond that can happen when you're in abusive situations, or you're trying to please somebody and you're afraid of them, and all these other factors, right? You deprogram for all of that, and then you outgrow those circumstances and those people because you're more self-aware. And I don't, the term enlightened bothers me. The term enlightened feels like some fucking egomaniac shit sometimes, but for a lack of a better term, you become somewhat enlightened in those areas. I think people just say enlightened as, I got it. It's like, no, you haven't. No, you haven't, you goofball. You have not gotten shit. We're just beginning. We are just fucking beginning. And, that's like something that my kids learned with martial arts, like, because the black belt's the big thing. Oh, yeah. And they learned very quickly by their grandmaster, you have just started. Your black belt just means that you went to school and now you're a fucking noob. He didn't say it like that, but I said it. And they know that because if you hold on to that title, if you hold on to that piece of fabric, that it's a symbolic thing, meaning that you worked your ass off to earn that, and with honor, you have to fucking grow with that. If you just stay the same and you're still wanting to do martial arts, you're not going to get anywhere. You might as well stop. It's like that with cooking too. I tell my kids it's the same with cooking. We're told as chefs, you're only as good as your last meal that you cooked. And there's a lot of chefs that I know, they cooked for celebrities, or they were featured on the news, or they cooked at a restaurant, and that's all they fucking hyper focus on. And it's sad. I've seen it, and it's not okay. We have to expand. And you don't have to do it in this like rushed area or this finish line or none of it. I can die tomorrow. I tell my kids all the time, because look, we're in a fucking pickle. My whole life has just always just been so messy, and then it divinely works out, and then I'm like, what the fuck was that? You know what I mean? Like, I was gonna get deported, and I was pregnant, and then like we went on lockdown. Like, we went on fucking lockdown very shortly after, and I'm like, I guess I'm not, and I'm not suggesting, the universe made COVID happen to everybody because of me. Like, no. Your life will just flow with everything else that the collective contributes to or is getting involved with, and you'll either you'll have sanctity in that for a while, or you will be in an uncomfortable situation, or both, to where you can learn and navigate and expand. That's what I've learned with demonolatry. And you know what else? All of that other glittery shit, it's fucking nothing. It comes so easily to you when you just let go of it. When you let go, like, I'm not kidding, guys. And I'm not glamorizing this because this is a problem, okay? I will not fucking glamorize this one bit. We are on one income for 6 people simply because of government bureaucracy. I'm in the middle of a legal battle right now because a higher caliber of government knew that immigration was completely wrong, and now I'm fighting, and they want me to pay more money to stay, and it's a fucking nightmare right now. And I have to be in the present and know that it's going to work out, and know that I don't need to be solutionary right now. I need to be in the fucking present. That doesn't mean that when you got bills to get paid, just vibe and meditate your bills away. No, I'm saying those of you, when you are stuck and you're like, I am willing to do the work and nothing's working, what do? You have to be still. And when you fall apart, it's like another representation of the dark night of the soul. It falls apart, right? And then you go, maybe I should start a plant business or an apothecary. Maybe I should start doing some tutorials. And I know it's not going to pay off right away because I have the realism. But you know what? If I just dedicate my life for the next few years, maybe it will. Maybe it actually will. Because I've made very little money off of this. And the fucked up thing is we have more money than we've ever had, but we have less because of all the expenses. And we don't have like a lot of extras. Like, I have like YouTube Red because I have kids. That's like it. That's literally it. I don't go out. I don't treat myself often. Like, my husband loves to spoil his rotten. I'm too fucking focused. I'm like, if any extras, I want this to be toward my business and toward my brands. And I don't like seeing Kitchen Occultist as a brand. Like, I'm Kitchen Occultist. It's an element of me. It's an element of who I am. Just like how the demons have, and any spirit has different aspects of them that they show, either past life aspects or a spectrum of their growth or who they appear to be to you compared to me. I've had those experiences too. I've seen the structures of it, and it's really fucking overwhelming. Like, I had to like pace and walk around outside for like 2 days. Some of these astral experiences I have leave me dumbfounded and fucked. Just, I can't speak. I can't talk. Me, of all people. And I can't even talk about it because I'm like, I just had this experience and it feels so real. And now I'm back here having this experience, which is really real. But that experience didn't feel fucking lucid. Like, I was there, I was aware that my phone was on silent. I think about things, like if I go back in the astral, I'm going to think about bubblegum. Do it. Do it sometime. For those of you who have astral experiences, I experience it pretty chronically. If anything, they've slowed down since I started my path on demonology, but they've sped up in fucking different ways. And I've had them since I was like 11, 12 years old. And I can think of that stuff. When next time I go out, I'm going to think about bubblegum. That's how aware I am. Like, that's how aware you are when you have those experiences. It's not just like a lucid dream where you're like, this fucking makes no sense. What the fuck? And you wake up, and you're like, why did I do that? Why didn't I fucking chase that stupid guy that was trying to chase me? Why did I do, like, because your dreams, sometimes you manufacture arenas for you so you can have symbolic lessons, so you can learn something. But with astral experiences, they're fucking that as well. Sometimes the demons will manufacture that, or they'll take you to different places, or you're just there for something that kind of exists because other entities created it, just like we create this plane, just like I decorated this office and painted that shelf. Some of you might remember from Kitchen Occultist. And for those of you who are wondering, who only see me on YouTube, I am very active on TikTok and Instagram, and most of it is because the type of videos that I want to film for these platforms, it's really taken a lot out of me, and I'm barely getting to a place where I can financially and time-wise afford it. So thank you for that, because it's been a hell of a fucking ride. Like, the last video I posted a few months on Kitchen Occultist YouTube, that was like a month's worth of work. I've had failures, I had kids crying, I forgot to say something, or I didn't have enough time to film and I only got one segment. I had to like redo that. I had to really put in a lot of fucking work, and it was frustrating how hard that was. And it doesn't seem like it would be, because I've made plenty of videos where I'm like, cool, I'm just gonna sit down and vibe like this one and yap, and it works out brilliantly. And guess what? That's okay, because I can always try again. And that's where I want people to at least understand that the dark night of the soul in spirituality will teach you that sort of mentality. When you are in that purgatory, when you are really fucking naked and unsure, and you're questioning things, and you're having this kind of existential sort of crisis, you realize how you're manufacturing it to be important. You realize that, and this is going to sound very dark, and this is not what I'm suggesting, in a very small way, and compared to any type of spiritual being that is like a god, a demigod, an angelic being, a fallen angel, why they have a disconnect. Because it's kind of like a toddler who drops her ice cream cone. I use this metaphor with my kids all of the time, because I have to use it with myself as a parent and remind myself that some things that might be really small to me might be really big to my adult kids, who are learning the ropes of life, and I'm having to lead them in all these areas, and I'm mad about it because the world's falling apart and they got nobody but me right now, and blah, 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 blah. All of these things, right? You learned that when you can decompress and you're in that fucking purgatory, and you're like, this is fucking freaking me out. What do I do? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. What the fuck, 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 what the fuck. You're like, what the fuck? Then you're like, whoa, what the fuck? And you're like, fuck. And you finally feel at peace, and you're like, I get to choose. If I just face my problems, and I face my feelings, and I face these situations, and I face when my political parties are wrong, when I face when my social group is wrong, when I face that something I believe in was manufactured because of somebody else's agenda, when I face my own God, you can fucking have some sanctity in your life. You can have that sanctuary. I have a lot of sanctity in my life, despite it being pretty challenging. I'm not defined by those things anymore. And I also don't need to always hold on to pride for that. As much as I admire Lucifer teaching me the spectrum of pride, which I'm still learning about. I'm not like fucking saying I know everything, guys. I'm saying I understand myself so much more. And the beauty of it is what if I'm wrong? That doesn't matter. I became a better version of myself, and without having to try so hard, wondering what other people are going to think, wondering if people will finally like believe me and not call me a liar, when people will finally take me serious because I've always worked hard and I've always tried to do the fucking right thing, and it's always backfired completely. And then you just get told that you're the blame for it, and then you start becoming the villain, and then they're like, see, we told you were a fucking piece of shit. And it's like, well, no, I was reacting to everybody else being a piece of shit. And everybody's like, nah. Those sort of things, like, as real as they are also subjective. Because those motherfuckers think that they have justice and reason for why they did it, or they create a different reality. No, we didn't. You know, like that's the point. It's not to take away any credibility or accountability or anything, because people are so... I'm going to say this and I'm not going to be sensitive. People are so fucking leeched on to their trauma these days. They are so fucking hooked to the false sense of fucking validation that people give each other for it, that now we can't talk about it. We can't fucking say anything wrong. We can't tell people sometimes, yeah, you've been traumatized, but you need to get your fucking head in here and do some healing. You know, we can't, oh, how dare you trigger me? What do you think life is like, that you're just going to walk around not being fucking triggered? Like, who are you to be able to demand that from, like, billions of people? And I'm not saying people have the right to overpower you. I'm saying the same thing to those fucking people. And while I'm saying that, I gotta say it to myself too, because who am I? Like, that's the fucked up part. Who the fuck am I? Who the fuck am I to tell you anything what to do? But the best thing that I can do with my own life is just to use something as an example. Like, hey, I didn't get a fucking, like, how-to manual at all. I didn't fucking have any of these tools, and I was all angry about it and blaming everybody else. And then becoming those things. No sirree, no ma'am. What we're gonna fucking do is we're just going to understand our reality, and we're gonna grow. And when we hit that checkpoint of the dark night of the soul, we get to come out of it like almost, I want to say pure. My purity feels very dark. It feels like how pure activated charcoal looks and feels. It's very protective, right? You feel very pure. There's not a heavy energy to that. There's a very light, dark energy to that. And I see my soul as a silhouette looking like that and coming out of like this dark room and feeling like I'm a blank canvas in the dark. And now I get to take all those tools in my environment and I get to build off of them. That's not all that I'm going to have access to. But if I access that stuff and I get into this mindset of expansion and manifesting, what am I going to attract? What are you going to attract? I don't worry about shit as much. And when I say that, I worry still. I still fucking break down when I have immigration like hounding me, and then I have the fucking higher court saying, oh, well, we'll take care of it. And they get back to you like in 9 months. And like all of these factors, I have nobody. I have no help. I have no help. So I got to help myself. I'm not a victim. I'm not tough for it either. I'm just fucking real. And I could be wrong too. I am just, this is my captain's log. That's it. All of these videos, I don't need to take myself so serious. I can make money off of this shit. Sure, that's great. Bills are paid. Fuck off. Let's go do some other cool shit. Let's go do some other hard shit. Let's go fucking be able to build empires for our family. And if we fail, I tell my kids all the time, all right, I want to make this very clear because people go, wow, you do a lot. Me, you fucking lucky bitch staying at home. I had to choose to continue to be a chef when I was forced not to be allowed to anymore. When the universe did not allow me and made me feel like it took something away from me that I loved. Even though I was making fucking $9-10 an hour, even though I was a stagiaire, meaning free labor for fucking uppity places because I wanted that on my resume, I wanted that experience, I wanted to learn. I just wanted to learn because my ego was like suffocating and never been told that I was good enough, and I was trying to make up for that, and boy did that blow up in my face. And you just chase something that doesn't exist and you become blindsided by it. So I decided to continue to manufacture that and to learn and to get better at cooking and to get better at time management. You learn that it just doesn't matter, and you feel like it matters because you decide that it does. And you get to operate your life a little bit more clear-minded as a result. You're going to have tough times and challenges and bad days, and a lot of the time too, you guys, when you start really waking up spiritually and focusing on yourself, you lose a lot of people, if not fucking everybody. If not fucking everybody. You will lose everybody, man, because you are now trying to expand, and they're on their own path, they're in their own life. They might be not. That doesn't mean that you're better than them. Because I see a lot of that shit. It might be. But it means that they're in their own vortex. They're having their own experience. They're having their own simulation. You're having yours. You know, how somebody sees you and how you see yourself are two different things, because we are that of God's energy. Not the Abrahamic Yahweh God. No way. Yahweh? No way. I mean actual God source energy, the universe. And we don't know how to handle it or manipulate it, so we just beef with each other and we fucking start wars, and we want to feel powerful, and we think that just manipulating the truth until it feels truthful, that'll do it. My point on all of this, because you're like, shut up bitch, don't start going in. My point in all of this isn't to push any agenda or my beliefs or anything. My point is you start seeing things for what it really fucking is, and you gotta become human. You got to stay grounded during all of that. You can't be godlike and thinking you're better than everybody because you're seeing shit for what it is, because you're seeing shit for what you think it is. You know, it really comes down to that. And you can be right. I think I'm pretty on point with a lot of things that I see and believe, because there's patterns and there's proof and there's stories and there's lots and there's history. But I also fucking think that we hyper focus so much of our energetic output onto other people that are more expanded in certain areas. Like, there's expansion when you're famous. You're able to attract thousands of people's energy. You know what I mean? And that's crazy, because you see people when they're like on stage and they're just fucking gassing it all in, and you're like, you fucking prick. Chill the fuck out, man. That's scary. That would be scary. That's a lot. And you're like, yeah, I want more of that. And then what happens? They take all the energy and they self-destruct. And they become weak. That's what I'm saying. You have to be able to manage these things. If you want expansion, if you want like political stance. Because I've thought about it. I've thought about, man, what if in my 50s I get into fucking politics? Because I could. And I know the right spirits to help with those sorts of things. But I ask King Belial, when it comes to politics and being a leader, because he's a king after all, what the reality is of that. And he tells me that it's a lot of glamour that we have created to represent what expansion looks like when you have the attention of thousands or millions of individual entities. And that all of the other stuff is nonchalant. Like, a lot of people get that wrong, and it's hard. I shouldn't say that, but I'm gonna anyways. I feel a lot of people get that wrong when they think like King Belial, oh, we got to give him lots of gold and lots of crystals and lots of this. It's just energy. It should come from the heart, but it's not like he has to be adorned in fucking gems all day long like King Charles, having somebody wipe his ass with a fucking silk handkerchief. You know, like, I'm so serious. These people make me fucking sick. And I love beautiful diamonds and cool shit. But it's the fact that people feel entitled to that, and they feel special for it. They feel better than other people. That's what grinds my gears. Those are the things that my ego gets super antsy, and I'm like, you fucking assholes. You know, it's not people who are dressed fabulous and have nice things. I know that there's a lot of haters and shit out there. I think if you have nice things, that's fucking awesome. Like, I love nice things. I'm not talking about that. I'm not trying to sell this idea of you need to be one with yourself and disconnect from all your vices and you harm none and nope. I'm probably going to fucking harm people by pissing them off. If I'm in a bad mood, I'm susceptible to that. So I got to fucking check myself. I got to do it for me, and I got to do it because I know it's the right thing to do. I like nice things and I love to shop. Like, I can shop until I fucking drop dead, bitch. I love clothes and I love things, but I can't be attached to them because that's not what defines me. Those are beautiful gifts that I get to experience that this world has to offer because it's other people's energy that design these beautiful things. And you get to just experience one another doing that. That's it. That's all it is. And then when you let that go, you'll have more shit coming into your vortex. Like, it's not this perfect, choreographed journey. There's no finish line. There's no perfect way to be a human being. There's no perfect way to do the things you're doing. Like, even within demonolatry, the left-hand path, there are so many theories. And I think that's important. I think it's important for all of us to navigate all of those plausibilities or things that sound super fucking stupid because we understand what we are more. When you see somebody just fucking pumping hot air up their own ass about how they're this and how they're that and how the devil taught them this, that is a perspective. That is a thing, an energetic signature, an energetic recipe that exists, and you can see it for what it is. And if there's any lessons you can take from it, sure. I don't want to act like that fucker. That was my whole environment since the day I was born. And that's what I've operated off of, and it's like backwards. My whole life has always been very backwards. Like, I'm even in the southern hemisphere. Everything in my life feels like a fucking mirror. I know it's weird, and this is like a main character moment, but like, things only work out for me when something fucking backwards is going on. It's weird. Does that happen to you? Do you have that too? Like, every fucking thing. I'm even left-handed. Like, this whole world feels fucking backwards and upside down to me. So you coexist with it and you navigate it and you fit in your own special way. You don't need to be like in compliance with this fucking system outside of not hurting people and doing all that good stuff, because you got to stay out of the privatized prison systems. Now we don't want to make those people more money, so you got to be good, but hold your fucking self accountable and realize how powerful that we are. We all are in our own special ways. It's kind of like a video game. If you see it, like, go look at your wall and see it as if you're playing a first person video game and you're like, fuck. And when you start to see it that way, you start to take life serious in a very genuine manner. And you start to take all the yapping and nonsense not as serious. You don't take as offense when people start fucking pumping their fucking opinions at you. And you don't feel the need to be like, what? I just don't even have a lot of that in my vortex. If anything, I literally don't have much drama in my life. I did have this one fucking bitch, though. I was literally in my yard looking at my hibiscus plant, thinking about something to do with it. And some fucking bitch with her Yoshi looking ass was like, what the fuck are you looking at? And I didn't even know this bitch was looking at me. Like, or talking to me. I didn't even know. I thought people were just talking. And I was so fucking deep into my thought. And she was like, hey, what are you looking at? And I turned around. I felt nothing. And she was like, why are you just standing there? And I was like, I'm just looking at my fucking hibiscus plants, knowing I don't need to explain shit to this bitch. I'm like, why? And then she just went and walked away. And I was like, fucking see ya, you stupid bitch. You look like Yoshi. So I'm sorry, but the bitch looked like Yoshi. And she walked like him too. She's like, nope. You know, I thought this bitch was going to go and fucking take my flowers off of my hibiscus plants. And when I walked away from that situation, I literally was just confused. And I always think when I have drama in my environment, this is something that I need to fix energetically and magically, because I've got my wards up. Like, I am isolated. That's how much my wards are up, and I kind of needed that right now in my life. And I always, those incidences will parallel something in my own vortex. And I asked King Belial, I was like, what is this about? And he was like, well, how did you feel? And I was like, I felt nothing. And he's like, how would you have felt? And I was like, oh, I would have fucking started in and said, I would have told the bitch, you look like fucking Yoshi, shut your fucking mouth and go fucking hop onto your egg and fly somewhere else because I don't want to hear. Go find Mario and bounce out because I don't want to fucking deal with it. Like, that's what I would have done. Said something stupid, pissed her off, and then we would have been beefing or brawling. That's who I used to be. I'm not fucking proud of it. I mean, yes, the bitch shouldn't be acting rude, but what I've learned with my journey and this personal power that I'm exploring is that I don't need to react unless there's an actual threat. Because I don't have anything to prove to somebody who would just start fucking yapping at somebody looking at... It wasn't even like I was looking at her direction and she thought that I was staring at her. My back was turned and she was like yelling. I thought about how stupid it would have been because my old self, I would have been like, what the fuck? Why are you fucking... I would have been mad that somebody's getting mad at me for being in my own house. Like, that would be the thing. It wasn't about, oh, how dare you? Like, my thing, what used to piss me off is I'm minding my own business and you're trying to be an asshole for no fucking reason and you're mad that I'm fucking defending myself and saying yes. So that was like the point. And Belial will pull that out of you and make you compare your old self to your new self, but also make you face that and not feel ashamed, or not to be like avoidant of it, but he'll pull that out of you so you can understand your own growth and where you actually are. Because like I've had no beef here in Australia besides like a handful of situations. Like, the one time this nurse was bullying me and she was calling me Miss America and saying that I'm late for my appointment because I was styling my hair, which I wasn't, and like all of these other things. And she was calling me fat and she was like fucking fat too. And I was pissed because and my blood pressure, they were taking my blood pressure and it was like, fuck, the machine almost popped because I was about to fucking just rock this bitch. And I was heavily pregnant and I was pissed because I get pissed when people are mean for no reason. If I'm an ass and somebody's like, well, what the fuck's your problem? I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm being bitchy. I'm sorry. Like, I don't even need to, I don't do that though. So that was like, it made like, iHeartRadio and it made like the Daily Mail and all kinds of shit. It was so fucking ridiculous. And it was on the Sun as well, and they took like horrible screenshots of me because I made content on YouTube for different things. And I was like heavily pregnant and I was so mad. I was like, oh my god, this like just spiraled out of control, right? And they took the whole story out of context too and made it very like hyper feminism sort of shit. And I'm like, they were saying things, they were making it seem like I was saying things that I wasn't, when I was like laughing about it because it had happened days ago and I wasn't even mad about it anymore. But they were making it seem like a cry for help, and I got pissed off at that, so I threatened to sue all of those companies. And I also exposed, I think it was iHeartRadio, they were using my live Instagram feed, and I changed the captions of my fucking photo saying, iHeartRadio is taking this fucking whole story out of context, and they just like got rid of the article. So I probably have screenshots on it on my old computer somewhere, but fact of the matter is I've learned a lot about myself, and I was going through the dark night of the soul this past year where I really started to struggle with being okay with being myself and my expansion and the possibilities that I have. And that's something that demonolatry will pull out of you if you're walking this crooked path as elegantly as you can, but not like, you don't have to be hyper cautious. I feel like there's a lot of scare tactics and gatekeeping with that sort of stuff, you know? But I've learned that it's okay to have your own special type of life, and it's okay to not fit in, but you don't need to make a big deal about it or make it your personality trait either, because that can happen. I feel like that's happened to me. Like, I was one of those girls that was like, well, nobody understands, I'm so weird, but not like as cringy, but like for real, I'm like, you guys don't fucking get it, man. It sucks. Oh, wow, you're so this. No, you don't fucking get it, you assholes. It fucking sucks. Nobody likes you, and everybody fucking thinks that you're something that you're not, and everybody makes fun of you for existing, and like you talk back so they get mad. Like, it's all of these factions that they become fractured and they fall apart. And these fallen angels have taught me, like, this is what makes you special. This is what makes you you. And everybody has that. but people are too afraid to be themselves because you're stuck in a psychological spiritual war and you don't feel confident. I need to make that clear. I've held myself back to the point where there's so many things I want to do with these platforms. This is nothing. This is nothing. This is me getting better at it so I can do those things. And because I feel aligned with that, I feel like it's okay to dream huge. And it's okay not to if you just want to vibe and just chill in a forest and just scare off the fucking locals, because I love that too. I do that without trying, unfortunately. A lot of people think that I'm a witch, and there's a lot of people that are very superstitious about that in different cultures. So I have to deal with some stuff sometimes, but I keep to myself and I'm okay with who I am. And I feel like there's a comfort in that, and that I don't have to be liked by people, but I also don't have to go try to be hated either. I just have to exist and be authentic. And I have to figure out why I want to be so authentic. Is it just me trying to prove that I'm a good person? Or, it's the journey can just continue to spiral. And you can keep up with all of those thought patterns for those of you who struggle with overthinking and, your fucking mind is in 400 directions at once at 400 different speeds. You'll be able to fine tune that sort of stuff slowly once you have that stillness and you have that discomfort and that uncertainty that you navigate, and then you come into your power. And you have to catch your breath with that, okay? Because like my magic is getting a lot better as well. My health and my stamina, and it freaks you out. My finances are improving. All of these things are improving, and then there's other things that are falling apart right now. And I'm like, okay, well, I have to remember who the fuck I am, and I have to remember that things have worked out divinely for me one way or another. And when they don't, I'm able to at least grow from them. So I'm going to face this, and I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to try, and I'm going to feel like I'm fucking freaking out. But you have to do it. I tell my kids this all the time. My 6-year-old, he's on the spectrum, and he knows how to self-regulate without having to mask. We have signals. I do a little sign language. He's got tools, and he'll say, okay, I'm sorry. And I tell him, you don't need to say sorry. It's okay. When he's honking and he's, autistic kids will manipulate that and be like, oh, I'm autistic, so I'm going to fuck up, but there's differences. But I tell him, you've got this and I'm proud of you. And then he'll listen to me and he makes eye contact with me. I'm like, you can't be a chicken butt. And he starts laughing. Because a chicken butt, if there's a chicken butt with no head, he's just running around all crazy because he has no head, like a chicken with his head cut off. I said, so you can't be a chicken butt. And that's how I parent my kids. So I don't know if I'm doing it right or not, but I'm trying. And look, I've been a parent for over 20 years and I still don't know if I'm doing it right. But that's what I tell them. I go, you can't be a chicken butt. You cannot fucking be chicken butts, because you're going to get nothing done and you're just going to bleed out and freak out and it's going to do nothing. What is it going to do? Oh, I don't have a head. Yeah, you do. You're just acting like you don't. So you're acting like a chicken butt. But you have a fucking head. You're not bleeding out, and even if you were, freaking out's going to make it worse, just like a chicken does when he doesn't have a head. So that's what works for us, and that's been my experience, as a person, is to stop being a chicken butt, and to stop freaking out when I can't control something, and stop freaking out when I look bad even though I'm trying so hard not to, and just like completely self-destructing over mental patterns that you have to deprogram, because there's a sense of humility that comes with this path. But it's not like humiliation rituals, like all this Hollywood stupid shit. It's humbling yourself enough silently so you can see where your flaws are. Not because you need to feel bad, but so you can fine tune that and fix that. Oh, if I fix this stupid fucking stubborn aspect of me, this part of my life's going to improve. And, so sometimes it's like, we're parents. Those of you who are parents too, you got to do that. You know that, but you can't do it for them. You got to do it for you. And the Dark Night of the Soul was a huge like shedding process, like molting, like how a snake molts, and you know, it's like a painful process, and then they have to adjust as they're growing new skin, and they have to adjust to their new environment. It freaks you out at first. When you come out of that checkpoint, it freaks you out because you're like, shit's improving in my life, and I'm freaking out, and people are taking me more serious now in my environment and even online, which I think is, you know, I've realized so much about myself. I've realized that. I realize why I use sense of humor, you know, to deflect things, or just to make light of the situation, or to transmutate that, you know, because I don't need to feel bad. I know what that feels like. I know so much about myself that I realize I know very little. And there's a freedom to that. And when you can accept that, you have a whole world of possibilities on this fucking hood ass, broken ass, upside down motherfucking planet, because this is your environment. Even if you only have like a small space, that is your environment. You can grow from there. You can create more. You can make it comfortable for what it is, and that's your resting point. That's where you rest your fucking flesh mech, and you go back to the ether or the nether, and you fly around and have all these experiences or different dimensions, and then you rest and you charge the battery, and you get up and you do it again, and you have pleasurable experiences, and you have hard times. You have growth in the process, though, and you have reward for your hard work. But this system will fool you. You will not have rewards for your hard work in this fucking system. The trickle down effect is you get all the fucking punishment for other people transmutating your energy and turning it into their own power and masking it as profit, giving you an illusion. So that's real fucking talk. That's what I learned. That doesn't mean that I'm going to vibe my bills away. That doesn't mean that I'm going to meditate my fucking weight issues away. That doesn't mean that I'm going to just not think about people that I've hurt or things that I do. And it's a human experience, bitch. Can you imagine? Like if somebody's like, you hurt me, and I'm like, this fucking human experience, you bitches. Fuck you. Pick and choose your battles, and you know when it's justified and when it's not. You got to figure it out. And you got to figure out, why am I energetically aligning with these fucking assholes? What is it about me that I'm not getting? What pull do they have on me? What pull do I have on them? And sometimes in life you disconnect. When I'm on the brink of deportation right now, I'm on the brink of not knowing if I'm staying or going, and I know it's going to work out. And it's not because I'm just going to vibe. It's not because I'm just going to, it'll work out. It's okay, just smoke. No, it's because I'm put in so much work and effort into myself that I can handle that. I have skills that I've developed over this time being in complete isolation. I have developed so much as a person that will carry me with the obstacles that lie ahead. Because none of us win. We're all going to die. It's part of the process. And when you accept that, you just decide, I'll die with honor by not fearing and taking other people down with me. I'll be brave for them. Because what do I have to lose but to try my best? So thank you for hanging out with me. I promise this podcast will get a lot better and more witchy and cozy feeling over time. I just didn't feel like setting everything up. I felt like just sitting on my office floor and talking to you guys today, because I've been avoiding making content on here for a while. I've been pretty busy, in all honesty, but I don't want to always just report everything that's going on in my spiritual life, because I think I need some sanctuary in that. And I also, which I do, I have plenty of that. But I also need to navigate these things so I can thoroughly discuss them. So anyways, Moon Muffins, stay tuned. I will be posting more consistently, and I have something I've been working on for Kitchen Occultist YouTube. Please give me a little time, and thank you so much for all of your support and kindness and constructive criticism.